don't let Appa work too much and make sure to give him this medicine on time. Theon was speaking on the phone as he was making food. His father had been discharged from the hospital last week, but he was still a little weak and keep checking his blood pressure. They continue an instruction that unaware that someone was staring at him. It was Jungkook. He just woke up and it was the weekend. He smiled seeing his wife were engrossing in making breakfast while talking with someone on the phone. His eyes were snatched together, a little on the floor and his forehead. That lady was a stand on the hair, the way his lips were moving, his bare wrists were peeking through his shirt. Jungkook's eyes noticed at every single detail. It was making him hard. He shook his head to clear his thought and snapped out of his that Jungkook decided it was the best to interrupt Tae and let him know he was awake. He quickly walked toward him and wrapped his arms around his waist, causing Tae to jump in surprise. The phone in Tae's hand was slipped from the grip and fell on the floor. Tae, who are you talking to? Jungkook asked, driving his eyebrows. They turned around and blushed at his unexpected interruption. Oh, Cook, I didn't realize you were awake. This time, trying to get that composed. I was just talking to Uma about Appa and make sure that she will take good care of him. Jungkook smiled at his wife. Don't worry, he'll get healthy very soon. Taehyung's eyes were softened as he looked at his husband. I just want him to be healthy, Cook. I can't bear to see him suffer. Jungkook pulled Taehyung closer, making a gentle kiss on his forehead. I know, Tae, he whispered. His husky voice would send shiver down to Taehyung's spine. Why don't we get out? I mean, like a date, Jungkook said, inhaling that strawberry scent his wife from. He loved it and make him intoxicated. The eyes pointed in surprise, as Jungkook's suggestion. They had not been on a proper date, and that idea was excited him. A date, they repeated, and a playful smile were at that corner of his lips. That sounds wonderful. Wherever we like to go. Jungkook leaned back slightly, and his hand was still resting on Taehyung's feet. Well, how about the new Italian restaurant? I heard that they're having amazing food and a beautiful view of the city. Taehyung's eyes were sparkle with that excitement. He loved trying new places and experiencing different that sounds perfect. Seems the excitement in Taehyung's eyes. Jungkook couldn't help but surprise that should appeared on his face. Taehyung slowly tried to free himself from his grasp, but Jungkook only tightened his hold further. No way, I'm not letting you go without something in return, he said, and his voice a mix of mischievous and desire. The eyes were widened with that playfully. What did you need? They asked softly, almost whispering. Jungkook inhaled a deep breath, hearing his voice. It sounded, why I'm getting so... Oh, stop behaving like a teenager. I guess we'll do, Jungkook said, getting closer to him, covering that a few inches between them. The chest were moving heavily. Jungkook could feel that movements of his wife. He's married, seeing that effect he had on his wife. Come on, I don't have a whole day, he whispered, that huskily near his ear, teasing him a bit. Taehyung blushed, hid his cheeks and neck area. Their hand was slowly slide between his chest, making a little gap. I have to make breakfast, they whispered, almost inaudibly, but Jungkook heard it carefully. He shook his head. Either you give me or stay like this in my arms. He sat with a straight face, enjoying the shyness of his wife. His breath was hard when he leaned toward him closer. Come on, make your decision. Dear, is the breakfast ready? The eyes were winded when he heard his mother-in-law. Seeing Jungkook holding was losing, he immediately pushed him. Before picking his mobile up from the roof, they glared at him slowly and said, Yes, Ma, I'll bring it in, making the way toward that his husband. She tiptoed, giving the chase on that, and they made the way toward the dining room, leaving a grinning and blushing Jungkook behind. Jungkook come out of the closet, wearing a casual white shirt and pants, being rolled up and giving the view of his strongly built hand. There was, and there I must be, that great of his son's fashion. Jungkook filled his eyes at him. He smiled before making the way toward the dressing table. He glared at the watch before reading it. It's rude to start, Mr. John Theon, he said, looking at Theon, applying that cologne, and made every eye contact with Theon, which quickly diverted his eyes as soon as it met him. We're getting late. It's the first time I'm seeing a man taking so much time to get ready. They was complained and formed a smile that secretly to get rid of that awkwardness, but that only helped to get that attention again. Jungkook chuckled, walked closer to him, and wrapped his arms around his waist. Well, I have to look my best for my wife, don't I? They blushed and looked into the judge, threatening with get you everywhere, Mr. John. They threatened, playfully poking his chest. Jungkook smiled, and his eyes were filled with that desire. Oh, I plan on taking you everywhere tonight, he whispered, and his voice was low, and their breaths were hacked, feeling that hated between him. You quite that charming girl, they replied, and his voice was filled with that mixture of excitement and deception. Jungkook leaned in, his lips were brushing against his ear. Oh, you have no idea, he muttered before placing a kiss on his neck. The knees were felt weak as he melted into his touch. We should get going, they managed to say breathlessly. Trying to regain his dad, Jungkook were pulling away. His eyes were filled with that love. And you're right, let's not keep that delicious food waiting, he said, and his eyes were slipped into, and they made their way toward the door. The ride of the restaurant was silent. It's so comfortable. Jungkook couldn't help but admire the way his eyes were speckled with joy, the way his smile were, his faces, and the way he humming that echo in the air. Soon they arrived at the restaurant. Jungkook helped him to get out of the car. He passed the key, and that made the way inside the restaurant, with his beautiful wife beside him. They were immediately greeted by the warmth and the delicious aroma of food. Jungkook led Theon on the table, pulling out. Thank you, he said with a smile. His eyes were wandering around the restaurant. It was huge and very classy. The royal work on the walls and the ceiling made it look more romantic. His hands were resting on the table. Soon met with Jungkook. They looked at their fingers before glancing at Jungkook, who smiled lovingly at him. The waiter approached. What would you like to have, sir? Jungkook glared at What would you like to have, he asked, and they smiled before taking a look at the menu. They said to the waiter, with a gentle smile on his face, as they waited for their food to arrive. They couldn't help but admire Jungkook. And caring nature, he was amazing at how effectively he made him feel and loved. Jungkook reached across the table, and his finger would gently caress Taeyoung's face. How's the food? He asked, and they stopped chewing. He clearly his thought. Good, he said with a tight smile. The soup was fine, but that pasta, he thought to himself, regretting his choice. But he didn't want to ruin that evening by complaining, so they tried to hide that disappointment. Jungkook noticed the change in his expression. Is something wrong? He asked, leaning closer to him, and shook his head to force a smile. No, everything is fine. Just not a big fan of pasta, that's all, he replied, trying to sound, and Jungkook looked at him. His gaze was softened. I'm sorry, I should have asked your preference before choosing the restaurant. I want tonight to be perfect for